Yeah.
Yeah, it's so important. Yeah, I was thinking of asking you about how you approach life differently as a medium, and I would imagine that has a lot to do with spiritual tools and grounding and having a meditation practice. But yeah, what else would you like to share about just how you approach life differently as someone who's a medium and knows that they're a medium?
And knows that I'm a medium, which is funny because I didn't know that I was a medium for a long time in my life. And I
Yeah,
used to just think that those voices in my head were mine, but turned
right.
out they were other people's.
Yeah.
So being a medium really helps me to, one, not take things so serious. Honestly,
Yeah.
because I know this is not the end. We are here for a limited time, and for a lot of people, it's a lot more limited than they might have hoped. And so it really helps me to be able to focus on, okay, what am I here to learn? What
Yeah.
am I here to share? And to just, like I said, take life more lightly. And I feel like I have such a sense of certainty and peace
Yes.
that really comes with being a medium, because I'll tell you, 95% of communications are I'm sorry and I love you.
Yeah. Yeah, you're talking about communicate, like when you're being a medium
Yeah,
between someone who's passed on,
yeah.
is not
So
alive anymore, and you're helping them communicate
exactly.
with someone
Yeah.
here. Yeah, and wow, and
So
they're mostly saying, "I'm sorry, I love you." That's
yeah. So
awesome and
when I am
beautiful.
the telephone operator for
Yeah,
someone in spirit coming through, it's, I'll get emotional. The love that
yeah,
comes through is tremendous. It really reminds me of, Patrick Swayze in Ghost when he
oh
talks
yeah,
about the love
yeah,
and how, so it's so comforting to me to, one, be able to be a connection, a messenger for somebody in the spirit world to bring that love through.
yeah,
And to know that also people are still able to make changes and grow when they're in
yeah,
spirit. And
yeah,
so I'm able to forgive myself a lot more easy, and also other
yeah,
people, because I know that people have to come here to have certain experiences.
yeah,
And so to hear from people in spirit, what they're going through now
yeah.
and what they're learning and what a perspective they have.
Right, they have a totally different perspective. Someone who
Yes.
no longer has a body and they're seeing this whole situation and
Yes.
their lifetime that they just experienced from a whole different perspective. And then as a
Yeah.
medium, you get to have that perspective as well while still having a body. So you get that bigger picture.
Yeah. Definitely not always am I perfect at it, because I was still being human and still
Yeah.
having the body.
Yeah.
Having the body really connects us to our ego.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is the
You just
mediumship.
don't like to forgive.
Yeah, exactly. No.
I'm
And
gonna hold on forever.
absolutely, I will not forget. And just
Yeah.
to see that that's one of the most common things that people want to come through and say, oh, I messed up, or, oh, I just I couldn't get out of my own way. And so for me, I try to live my life in a way that if I was coming through from the other side, how many times how many people would I
Yeah.
have to say, oops,
Sorry.
yeah, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And so that
Yeah,
is,
living from a place of not creating the regrets and
yeah,
the reasons to say I'm sorry later, but just really having
right.
that forgiveness in the moment.
Yeah, and trying to do it now,
Yeah,
trying to do it now, and also just live.
yeah,
Because one of the things is, so many come through and just say that they wished that they wouldn't have cared what people thought, that they wish
mhm.
that they would have just lived, they wish they would have taken the chance. And
Lived
so,
in less fear,
yeah,
less holding back. Yeah,
absolutely.
just go
Um,
for it, like Aries.
yes, just go for it, like Aries, exactly. So,
Yeah,
right. But it's funny because that is Aries. I am. And when
yeah.
you're in spirit,
I
you
am.
just are. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So then when we have a body, it gets a little more complicated.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
I am, but what about that?
well, it creates duality.
Yeah,
So it creates the duality and it creates a sense of separation, but we get to learn things that would be not as easily and quickly learned than in spirit. So
Right.
yeah.
We get to deepen our ownership of who we are as spirit, because this came through yesterday during a class I was teaching. The exact words were, oneness doesn't try to fix or solve duality. Oneness doesn't resist duality, because
Right.
oneness just is. But when we're in a body, we get to master that, because
Yes.
when we're in a body, it's so easy to resist duality, to try to fix and solve all the things that we encounter. Anything we feel, we got to try to fix it right away.
Absolutely.
So we're learning to master just being spirit in a body, and when you are that, there's nothing to fix or solve or resist. You can just be.
Yeah. And so hopefully the Neptune and Aries will help everyone to have more of that realization.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Jean. I love how you put that, because it's so true. We are such a people of trying to fix. I got to make it better. I got to new and improved. I mean, look how many freaking types of tide there is. Like it's new and improved. Not good enough. Not good enough. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we're really good at trying to innovate things that really don't need innovation.
Right.
Yeah.
Keep
Or
it
just
simple.
how much it becomes a habit when you're in a body to try to fix or solve emotions, or fix or solve how other people are feeling,
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And
nobody ever does that, right?
No, never. And as many more people are becoming, their psychic and mediumship is turning on more and more, just the management of those emotions and not trying to fix it. And also, so many people are so aware of, well, let's put it this way. They are not consciously aware that emotions or things are other people's, or even people in spirit.
Right.
So hopefully that becomes a lot more clear to people. When you're really feeling overwhelmed, I always recommend that people say, is this mine? Because if you're tuned into, especially if you're a mother, if you have a longtime partner, longtime friend, and you're really tuned in, you could be absolutely picking up their energy of being upset, being angry, being whatever, or even being happy. Just checking in. I think that's such a good thing lately, is this mine? Because there's so much overwhelm in the world, right?
It's crucial, really. I have said this in previous conversations. I don't know how people are navigating the intense complexity and chaos on the planet right now without having that level of awareness of what's yours and what's not, because it's really just too much if you're feeling the collective, even if it's just your inner circle collective, like you said, if you're a mother, or even if you're just feeling your family member or your close friends, that's still just, it's TMI.
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely.
But to be able to feel it and then recognize, because it's not about not feeling it, it's about recognizing when you do what's yours and what's not, so you can let go, and it's not your responsibility to feel, fix, process, or solve the collective's emotional roller coaster right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like looking outside.
That's really turning up, as you said, with more and more people's psychic awareness coming online. It can be overwhelming at first if you're not used to feeling all that, and then if you're not familiar with how to discern what's yours and what's not, and to let go.
Absolutely. And
You're approaching it from fixing and solving. It's just a big kerfuffle.
And I love that you're talking about, the letting go, like we talked about, drop it, letting it go, because that is a way to use that Pluto and Aquarius again, of being able to drop it, being able to be like, oh, that's not mine, and dropping it, and being able to be neutral instead of resisting, instead of like, I have to protect myself, I have to defend myself,
or this doesn't feel good, so I have to make it better, I have to change it, I have to fix it, I have to solve it. Yeah. But if you're feeling the collective grief, you're not going to fix or solve that,
Right. And to
know what's yours and let go of all of it. Right?
Yeah, and not get completely defensive, because then you're really hooking into that energy instead of letting it go. So many people are like, oh, I have to protect myself. I can't go out to the grocery store. And I get it because it's pretty crazy out there. But
Yeah, but
it's
that defensive position is
right.
problematic. Yeah.
Exactly. It's problematic because you're becoming it instead of letting it go and letting it be and letting you be and being more aware of your own inner authority, your own
Yeah.
integrity.
It's so helpful to recognize too what causes us to defend or resist or need to protect ourselves, from what we're feeling. It's like, well, if there's a sense of needing to protect yourself, there's fear there. What are you afraid of? Is that energy going to come and get you? Is that energy going to harm you? It only harms us when we aren't centered in our own energy and our own beingness, and therefore we're becoming the effect of that energy.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad you brought that up because with these planets that are moving into Aries, Chiron is in Aries. And Chiron, it's an asteroid, but most astrologers use it.
It's an important one, yes.
Yeah.
For healers.
Yeah, absolutely. It's called the wounded healer. And wherever it is in your own chart is pretty much where you have your deepest wound, but also when you heal those, you are the greatest teacher. Those gifts you bring into the world. Yeah. Yes. And so right now, Chiron is in Aries, and it's been in Aries for a bit. And the planet Mars, which rules Aries, went retrograde the end of 2024. And it was in the beginning part of Leo, and then it went into Cancer, and it's been in Cancer for a while. It's ruling the Chiron in Aries, ruling any planets that are in Aries, since Mars is the ruler. But being in Cancer, it has really brought up, it's not happy in Cancer. It's not typically, it can be very passive aggressive, but it can be very territorial, very like, this is mine, I have to protect. So it made me think about that when you were talking about the fear. And so definitely.
Are we territorial with our own space?
Absolutely. Our home, our clan, our country. It's very security oriented. And so for everybody listening to this, just looking back at December 2024, January, February, March, April, and first we'll go back into Leo, and I think it's May, but let me just check. No, it's mid-April.
Oh, soon. Yeah.
Yeah. So mid-April. But just if you could do any of your personal inventory about what fears were coming up for you.
What insecurities are coming up.
What insecurities, what fears, and because everybody has different fears. And it's such a good thing to keep in mind when people are freaking out over something and you're like, that's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But because to you, your fear is something different, and looking at that and just letting people have their space to have their own fear, their own experience, and also for each one of us to look at, where's that fear coming from? Is that even in present time?
Right.
So
it never is, right?
No, it's not. I mean, rarely, rarely, but that's what Mars is good for, is getting you out of situations, that are immediate, or
if there is an actual present danger, you can get up and go.
Absolutely, and fighting your way out.
But bringing in, I love how you pointed out, just bringing in that compassion to recognize, well, we all have our fears. It's just they're different for different people.
Yes.
So we don't need to judge if these people are going into fear about this. It's just
absolutely
an opportunity to look within. Well, what am I afraid of? What fear can I let go of? It might look different and manifest differently than that person, but we all have these fears we can.
Completely. Absolutely. I love how you, exactly. That's how you build compassion, is through, when something comes up where you have that knee-jerk reaction of, oh, that person's an idiot, or I don't understand, how could this person be doing that? It's like, well, if you're getting this kind of reaction, it's, it's something within you to take a look at. And obviously,
if you have
cultivate.
That judging reaction, well, maybe there's some fear within you that you don't want to look at. right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
Always.
it might be a very different type of fear, the way it
Yes.
manifests, but it's still fear, right? At the core, it's
Absolutely.
still a
Yeah.
match there.
Yeah. And usually, ultimately, fear of death,
Yeah.
because it's like, the
Yeah.
death of the way I live my life, the death of the way
Right.
life has been, just
Fear of
dealing with,
change.
yeah,
Yeah.
change is like a little death. And
It's a little
so
death.
it's a little death. Little one. Ha. We wish it was so pleasurable. And so,
I know. Isn't that what? Isn't that what an orgasm means in French?
yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Death?
Yes.
So we can think of it like that. It can be pleasurable.
Yes, exactly. Well, because that's the thing is you are touching heaven,
You
'cause,
have to let go.
we have to let go. Exactly. And you do have to let go. Absolutely. Yeah,
And letting go could be a great feeling.
absolutely. The freedom to let go.
I'm sure the beings that you talk with on the other side, so to speak, in your mediumship could tell you that, yeah, death was nothing to be afraid of. Oh, it was, it was
Oh.
great. Wouldn't anyone on the other side say that it was not a scary experience once they got to the other side?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not encouraging anybody because we're here
To
for a
try it
reason.
out.
We're here- yeah, but yeah, no, seriously, it is. But you still have to do things. It's
Yeah.
not like you just
Not the end.
Yes, absolutely. One of the very first mediumship readings I got, oh my God, I think 2004. At that time, one of my brothers was in spirit. I now have two, and he passed very young. He was 19. And this was many years later when I had my very first mediumship reading. And he came through, and the medium says, and I've never met this guy before in my life, says, "Oh, he didn't finish high school, did he?" And I laughed, and he said, "Well," he said, "he didn't get out of it." And I thought, what a hilarious thing,
Yeah.
and that's certainly not him reading my mind because I would have never thought anything like that.
Right.
But yeah, he was like, he didn't get out of it. He had to,
That's so funny. On the other
Yeah.
side, you had to complete some
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
related to that. That's amazing.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
But everyone just comes in with so much joy. It's really quite amazing. And of course, they're usually joyful because they want to be able to connect to their loved ones.
Yeah. It's a joy to be able to communicate and to find that medium. You probably have a lot of beings knocking at the door.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Well,
When you're a medium and you know it, you get the little cue of beings that are like, hey.
hey, go over there. Talk to that person. Say this. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and then often
Busy. Yeah.
someone's saying to me, "My grandfather used to always say that." Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, did he now? Yeah.
It's so fun.